seeing a lot of corporate, a lot of private sector corporate. I'd say the opposite industries that are not being affected are plumbers, electricians, tradesmen. They are going to be safe.
TV presenters?
Maybe. It's ironic because your previous presenter presenting the news, right, may not have been so real. But tradespeople are definitely safe. It's everybody in sort of middle management, corporate world. You mentioned insurance. I mean, literally almost all businesses that have lower level junior hires that are sat behind a computer. Maybe that's the best way to describe this. If you use a computer to do your job and the majority of your day is sat at a keyboard looking at a screen and clicking a mouse, you are probably at risk in the next 5 to 10 years, unfortunately. And I don't say that with any positivity at all.
But Henry, I mean, that is, that for many people watching this, I would hope that they were working, but if they're working from home, they're probably watching this, right? That will be a disaster. And there are a number of knock-ons from this. And the knock-on that I can see most happening is actually in London and the southeast, where I could see house prices going down because there will not be the middle management. I belong to a swanky tennis club, right, where I would say 80% of the members are in finance-based businesses, okay? They all go, I live in Weybridge, they all go, all that would happen is that they haven't got the funds to keep the mortgages going for medium or large houses. Isn't that going to be an issue? House prices down?
If I'm honest, house prices going down is going to be the least of our issues. I'm more thinking about how are people, feeding themselves, how are people not going out in the streets, being very upset. I think those are serious concerns that we need to think about. I think, there's a utopia sold to many of us by the trillionaires, which is UBI, which is universal basic income. Some people will say universal high basic income. So it's not just a basic income, it's actually a large salary that will all be paid because AI is doing all our jobs for us, and we can focus on leisure and we can focus on the arts and we can spend time how we want and fulfill our wildest dreams. Now, speaking from experience over the last year and a half, unfortunately, I do not believe this to be true. The proof will be in the pudding in 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future. But what we are seeing in our business, at least, is that with the introduction of AI, what's actually happening is you're making your employees 5 to 10x more productive using AI.
Yeah, I get that.
If you can be 5 to 10x more productive, and I mean, let's just talk about the basics, creating more PowerPoint presentations, doing more research faster. Like you are being 5 to 10x more productive. So what does that mean? If you're the boss of that person that's being 5 to 10x more productive, you look at the people that are not being 5 to 10x more productive and you get rid of them. And you look at the people that are 5x more productive and you think, well, you could be doing even more. You have all the most amazing tools at your disposal. You should be doing even more work. You should be outputting even more than you could previously. So unfortunately, I do believe that actually we'll be working harder than ever because we have access to these tools to allow us to be more productive. And our bosses and managers will expect even more of us moving forward.
Okay, so this is an enormously gloomy conversation. Unemployment to rise and the tax take to go down. What on earth is going to happen, Henry?
I think there's two things. And I go back to the trillionaire Elon Musk as the example because he is an advocate of universal high basic income, which is a beautiful idea and a lovely concept. I'm not sure it's been proven to work anywhere in the world, but who knows? Now, he says that we're going to have this universal basic income, but your question is accurate. What happened? Who pays for it, right? And it's either going to be paid for by the government or the private AI companies that are making trillions of dollars. So then that suggests to me these AI companies are either going to be willing to be taxed a large amount, because then that's how the government gets their money, or they're going to donate parts of their profits and revenues to pay universal basic income. Now, if we're realists for a second, neither of those sounds particularly likely based on...
That is a possibility, Henry, because we do the same both with banks and with oil companies right now. So we do overtax, but your point really is actually to overtax, we're going to have to take 90% or 95% of their money. I totally get that. But I totally get the trader thing. I absolutely get that. Who is going to pay the trader? That worries me, right? If asset prices come down, that worries me. Where is the upside? Could you literally say you won't be allowed to do this? You know, you won't be allowed, in the same way as I think in America they've stopped one AI company from being on the list. Is that? I know it sounds bizarre, but is that what's going to happen?
Well, it's an interesting point to raise. So America right now is actually beginning to treat their best AI models like controlled military technology. So, you know, this is actually what you were alluding to. It was Anthropic, which runs Claude, which is a large AI model, and their latest model launch was called Fable, and they shut it down. And they shut it down because of the concern from overseas, British people, every other country around the world. Basically, they were afraid that they would use it against the US or use it for nefarious activities. So yes is the short answer. It might be a lot easier to say, right, we're just blocking this. No one's using it. However, unfortunately, if the genie is out the bottle, there is no putting it back in. Yeah. And that is where we are, whether we look to China, whether we look to other countries. You know, China is a very interesting example that is actually releasing AI models very similar to the US, but at a tenth of the cost. Now, you look at these massive AI companies in America that are worth nearly $1 trillion, and it's becoming a huge part of, you know, the S&P 500 and people's pensions and 401ks and et cetera, et cetera. There is an actual strategic decision that China could take, which is very concerning, to launch their models across the US at a tenth of the price. And they're just as good or nearly as good, or they might be as good in the future. And the valuations of these massive companies in America are going to come crashing down because all of the calculations they've done on their revenue and their profit in the next 10, 20, 50 years suddenly don't exist because China's undercutting them. And we've seen that in so many other industries, right? So there is so much uncertainty, and everything I say to you today might be wrong in 2 or 3 weeks' time, which is exciting, scary, unnerving, and motivating all at the same time. So it's an interesting time, to say the least.
Right, Henry, right. But I've got two problems, right? How old are you? I'm
37.
How old? 37?
37.
Right. Have you got a family?
I do. I
have
a son.
Kids? Have you got kids?
Yeah.
Okay. How on earth do you sleep at night, A? And B, what worries do you have of your son? I mean, you know, for me, I've done my dash, right? I'm literally being propped up. I'm related to a mannequin here, right? So it's okay for me, but it's not okay for you. It's not okay for your family, right? The fear factor must be enormous.
Yes, I think it is scary. If you were to ask me, what do you think your 2-year-old son will be doing as a job when he's 16 or 18, or does he go to university? If he does go to university, what does he study at university? No one, no matter how much of an expert they may or may not claim to be, has the answers for that. So the way I personally deal with it is to think that that is 10, 15 years in the future. And so much will have changed in that time. Bear in mind, we're only 3 or 4 years into the beginning of AI, give or take, as we know it commercially. There is so much that can happen in 10, 15, 20 years. There's not even much point in guessing or even predicting. So does it keep me up at night? No, if I'm honest. It might do in 10 or 15 years if it gets worse before it gets better. I mean, again, coming back to the optimistic side of things, there is so much opportunity for people that do want to become AI native and are interested in becoming AI native.
That's the point.
That's
the point.
Taking for them right now. And it doesn't matter who you are. You do not have to have a degree from Cambridge. You do not have to have studied X, Y, Z. You can have any interest in anything. And if you want to learn, it is for the taking for anybody to start your own business, do whatever you want, make good money. Their opportunity is there if you have the time. So in that respect, I'm very optimistic for those people. And that's not everybody, but if you're interested, it's there for the taking. And then there's the other sort of higher level meta side of optimism in this industry, which is the important side of things, curing diseases, solving world problems. These really can be solved by AI in the future. I truly believe so. These things that do affect us on a daily basis that people have been working on for decades or hundreds of years, I do truly believe that AI can solve a lot of these problems. So there is a little bit of upside, but of course there is a huge amount of uncertainty.
Right. Well, I mean, I could argue against that last point. What's the point of being cured of everything if there's no damn work for you or your family to carry out, and we all have to live off the state? The idea that there's a Starmer or Burnham out there that's going to be handing out £20 notes to me in order to keep me happy while I watch sport is very, very concerning. Henry, very interesting. I'd like to come back to you probably as I start seeing this develop. And now I've had your rather gloomy view, I'm going to have to try and find somebody to cheer me up. So there's a big line just come up on my thing saying guest not here. So that'll probably cheer everybody up if they're all like you, Henry. But thank you anyway very much for your time, and good luck to your 1-year-old son. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.